And just like that, baby, we are officially live with another episode of Culture Convo with your boy Wydoe and Big Tiger.
Yo, we in the building, y'all. We're here again.
We got a special guest, Mr. Ryan Walton.
My God, super happy to have you here. Yo, like, there's a little bit of background, and like, I'm super excited for this episode. You know, this is episode 2, officially our first guest.
Let's go.
I've known this guy through like just acquaintances, kind of lifestyle. Like, now we're getting to get the whole like background, what he's about, where he's from, how it all started, this amazing thing that he does. I'm super hyped for this, you know what I'm saying? Super thankful to Chuck Seafood having us here.
Big shout out to Georgette and the entire family right here at Chuck Seafood, man. Fort Pierce, downtown Fort Pierce, Clyde. I love it. I can't believe we're right here in a new spot, and we got a special guest tonight, Mr. Ryan Walton. Let's go. Where did you meet Ryan, Clyde? Because this is your guest. This is your buddy. Okay, man. This is a superstar to me.
This is everybody's guest. Like, I'm here. This guy's like, just broke over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
That's right.
Been doing his thing. 11 years deep. What? 14, 11?
Somewhere in that range.
Because I see some early stuff. Like, I'm doing my research. You know, I seen some stuff a little deeper back, kind of. Just doing some blue spring diving and little stuff like that. And like, he's kind of worked his way up in the industry, you know what I mean? So I look back in those lost files of YouTube and, just saw you kind of grow from there. And here we are, these years later, and, you hit 100,000K on YouTube, which is no small feat. Everybody knows that.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
That's huge. Here we go. We got fresh food.
We're good. Absolutely.
Fresh food.
Shout out to Chuck Seafood, the best.
We're out here. Smoked fish dip, oysters. We're living our best life right now.
We got an outdoorsman. Okay, saltwater, fresh water extraordinaire.
Yeah.
We got to bring him to some seafood.
Oh man.
We're not upsetting you by eating any seafood or any sea creatures, are we?
I'm gonna throw this one. I actually don't eat seafood. I was eyeballing this already. I don't have anything against it. Total respect for fishermen and everything. The reason has nothing to do with allergies or anything you would think. It's because I smell like fish every day when I come home.
So it's just like I just can't do it.
Yeah, like I'd stop and I'd go to eat a hot dog.
And you smell
and
fish.
And I smell fish. And it ruins. So I used to spearfish. You did some research. I used to spearfish. But yeah, I stopped eating fish when all I smelt was fish. What is that?
That is fried. That is Chuck Seafood's world famous fried shrimp. If you're ever in Fort Pierce, Florida, this is a staple in the Fort Pierce community. They are known for their fried shrimp. People travel for miles just to get some of this fried shrimp. It's delicious.
Wow.
I'm telling. It's like that, right? It is that good. So if you're in Fort Pierce, stop by, check out Chuck Seafood, get the fried shrimp. Tell them Tiger and Wydoe sent you.
Absolutely.
Tell Ryan was there too. He just, he just here for the steak though.
That's right.
So
I'm gonna make up some fresh pico de gallo with those ingredients right here. That's what I'm gonna do.
I got you. So a little bit back, what you asked about, like our background.
Yeah.
So, I guess we've both been blessed to work around professional sports in some way, right? Me through food, that's kind of my background. Him through shark diving, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's his thing of what he does. And we kind of met I want to say it's probably training camp, just seeing each other. It's a small community once you're kind of around it a lot.
Yep.
So you see a lot of familiar faces and see him and his wife and his son. And then just over the years, I can't even tell you like where exactly we met. Do you know the time when we met?
I'm pretty sure it was either a game or a training camp, and it was through the Wilson family. It would have been Albert and Albert between both of them and Dad. But I'm pretty sure that would have been the connection there because you were hanging out with them a lot, and I was super tight with Walt Aikens when they were on the team together. And then Jerome. So between those guys and your relationship with Albert and them, I'm pretty sure that's what ended up tying us together at all the games and training camps around that time.
So I want to ask Ryan, because I've been watching your YouTube, man. Shout out to Wildlife with Ryan. Go tune in, new episodes. What came first? Was it the YouTube series or was it a shark guide?
Good question. So I got my start actually as a scuba instructor.
Nice.
So I was dabbling in the YouTube department back 2010, 2011, but I gave up because YouTube growth is so slow.
And that's one thing too. Like I look back at, and this is what I admire the most because like we're venturing off in this space. You've been in it for a little while. This is kind of new water to me. So like,
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended.
That's right.
I look back and he's got those videos with 100 views, 50 views, still to this day, and they're still there. So it's like, it gives encouragement to a guy like myself, you know, that it's like, just because that first video or that second video doesn't hit 6,000, 7,000, and you're talking to guys gets 6,000, 7,000, 10,000, 25,000 views a clip now. So it's like, okay, like it's inspiring, you know what I mean? It's encouraging. So anybody out there watching and looking at this and what we do, you know, Culture Convo is like, do your research. Don't think because someone's hitting now, like scroll down that video playlist and see when they started, and look at those clips where the lighting was bad, and you know, but they were just out there pushing content, doing the best of what they had.
Everybody loves Joe Rogan. He's been doing it 10+ years.
Yep.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, and that's one thing. So just to hear you say that it's inspiring is one of the main reasons I'm still doing it. Through the heartache and the time put in, and you see with editing and all the things that we do to make it a production, and at the end of the day we are creating a production. It takes so much time and energy, and it's exhausting. So to hear that other people are inspired, that is one of the most gratifying things that I'm still to this day like, all right, let's go. I got to wake up at 5:30 or 6 a.m. because I've got my son waking up at 7 a.m. I got to get the editing done. It's exhausting, but it's worth it. And like you said, there's still videos that...
So she'll take us back. So it's like scuba instructor in Jupiter. Okay, wait. I got to back way up. So we're in Connecticut. It's where it all started, right? Connecticut. What was it? Northwest Connecticut.
So
Northwest Connecticut. But what's the high school name? Northwest
Regional 7.
Regional.
Damn, that's research.
So boom.
Wow.
Connecticut guy from Connecticut, way up there. Snow, cold, a little bit of mountains.
Hills.
It's getting mountainy.
Hills. I don't know about mountains, but there's hills.
Oh, for if you're from Florida, anything over
that's true. That's true.
It might be a mountain.
It would be a mountain in Florida. Okay, that is. That's true.
Four-season kind of place. Connecticut. Young Ryan. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna move to Florida. I'm gonna start off like cave diving in the Blue Springs and that, and then I'm just gonna.
You did your research.
So how do we like get from like Connecticut to like I'm in Florida now, and I'm just like fully engulfed in like just the ocean lifestyle, and that's how you live your life, because that's what I know from. I see you, an outsider looking in. I mean, you live it, you live by it. Your whole life is consumed with it, and like that's your culture. You know what I'm saying, for your family. And I watch all the stuff you do, and you guys, you know, this guy's on the East Coast, goes out to the West Coast, shoots with seals, killer whales. You know, the islands. You know, goes out to Mexico. Like he's worldly traveled as far as the ocean is concerned. So like, how does Connecticut Ryan? Where did that guy end up here? And it was at Port St. Lucie the first, or not Port St. Lucie, but the Treasure Coast, the first landing spot. Okay, let's go there.
Koa was born in Daytona.
Okay.
So back to Connecticut. Born and raised in Northwest Connecticut. Small town, New Hartford. Most people hear Hartford and think like, oh, you were right next to the city. Like, no, we were in the hills in a small town called New Hartford. I was in the Army 06-07, and I had a minor knee injury that led to major anxiety. I basically couldn't do the jobs I was tasked to do, and they told me I could change my job or go home. And that was one of the hardest decisions I was ever faced with. And I made the decision to go home. And I ended up as an aquatic specialist. It's a glorified name for somebody who doesn't work the counter at Petco. And I did see the Petco background. I'm gonna say I didn't bring it up. He brought it up. He was a Petco guy. So that was keeping it real. Like that is still there for public access. Like he was at Petco. Yeah, I mean, so that was Petco right now as the aquatic specialist. You took the guy with sharks. Yeah, and that's so. One of my big things. It's not where you're at. It's where you're going, right? It's what we talk about. And one of the big things then that kind of shows my drive early on in getting out. One of my passions leaving the Army was keeping aquariums, and that was kind of a therapy to me. Wow. And I ended up with a bamboo shark. So, in my house, I had a small bamboo shark in a 72-gallon aquarium.
You didn't get in the tank at the house with the bamboo shark, did you?
No, but a small child could. A small child might be able to.
I just don't know where the shark touring started. You know, it could have been at the house in a 70-gallon tank.
The entrepreneurial skills weren't as hot then, but I knew enough to know that shark was going to be too small or too large for that aquarium soon. Yeah. I ended up giving it away and whatnot, but the passion and the interest in sharks now was sparked. As a kid, it was whales and dolphins growing up in New England. You have the Atlantic white-sided dolphin, the humpback whales. You've got all sorts of cool wildlife up there. So I did have that passion a little bit, but when you're younger, as you guys know, like it takes a lot of dabbling until you figure out what really hits. So when I got out of the Army, I ended up back there at Petco, and that was like my escape, was working with fish. And I got down to Florida in 2009. Amber and I moved down together. It was 2009, and I ended up playing semi-pro football. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I
Daytona Beach Wildcats. I had about a half a season. I was all over the place, dabbling and everything. And I didn't play much, but I was doing a lot of diving at the time. And that's when in Daytona I became a scuba instructor. And the staff, the owners there of Discover Diving in Daytona, they...
Shout out Discover Diving for giving this guy a
There we
chance.
go.
He should be on your Hall of Fame. If he's not, put him there.
So I was there for about 3-4 years, and I had started doing some shark dives. And I tell people all the time, in a somewhat joking manner, I started falling more in love with sharks and less in love with teaching people. And it was way easier reading sharks' behavior than it was teaching people how to stay alive underwater. And that's what the foundation of scuba diving is you're teaching somebody how to stay alive underwater.
Okay.
We can't breathe underwater.
No, definitely
That's
can't.
the whole point
Definitely
of scuba.
can't.
So for me, that passion was, again, dabbling. The passion of teaching people how to live underwater temporarily, 1 hour at a time. That passion was slowly dwindling, and the passion for being around sharks turned more into therapy. Because every time I jumped in the water, the only thing that mattered was what was in front of me. And that was sharks. And then as I learned more about sharks, I learned how much they needed help. And I could be a voice for something way bigger than I could ever be. And with 70 to 100 million sharks dying every year, it was pretty easy for me to be like, all right, screw this whole teaching thing. I'm gonna take people swimming with sharks.
You still are teaching.
I'm teaching a whole different ballpark. Now we're getting into your thing with the entrepreneurial skills. I was limited by only taking people scuba diving because now you need a certification. Now you've got a much smaller pool of people that can go experience the sharks. So for me, switching to surface-based was like, all right, cool, it's the better business move. But the animal interactions are better. They're easier because now we don't have all this gear. We're not blowing bubbles. We're not as noisy. So filming wildlife is easier without the scuba.
But I just want to say, Ryan, because as someone that grew up, Jaws came out. My mother was really scared by when the movie Jaws came out, and I think that kind of really tarnished sharks because of the visual it gave to you. But I love how guys like you are doing the same thing and the opposite, using your videos, your footage to show they're just animals. They're normal fish, they're sharks. And when I watch your videos, I'm not necessarily scared of them like I do when I watch a movie. I'm a little scared. But your videos, we're right there with them, a big old tiger shark, bull shark. So do you feel that you're making a straight impact of showing the other side of sharks?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely do feel that we do make an impact on people. I often have to be reminded. Like I said, I didn't get back to you till 8 o'clock last night because I was painting the boat. There's so much you don't see. Until now, I did start filming this part for another episode because it's just, there's so much glory on social media that you don't see the BS that we got to do to keep it going. So it takes a lot of reminding to say like, hey, you're teaching people that they're not bloodthirsty, man-eating killers like Jaws and Deep Blue and all those movies, The Meg, they try to instill fear, but fear sells. And I've had to kind of come to terms with the fact that these people are making money on fear.
But
it's the easiest thing to sell.
Okay,
other than sex.
But the flip side,
it's fear and sex. It's Hollywood, right? I mean,
so it's like, but for you, for what you do, like so in your business model, right, and you have people diving with sharks, swimming with sharks.
First timers, like you're going to be as well.
Wait. I didn't
Tiger
know.
with the
He said pause. He said pause.
No, nothing. He's lying.
Tiger with the tiger shark.
He was trying to get me out there. He said, "Oh, you just come on out." So again, getting back to my question before you sign me up for a shark diving trip. You're essentially so you talked about like fear, right? People the fear. So you're selling a little bit of fear too, because like, I mean, I said it in a bad way, and I'm not trying to like say, but like,
I like where you're going.
But it's like they are. For someone like me, I'm fearful, right? Because like I'm not like I was taught like don't jump in the water with sharks. I'm a Florida guy, native Floridian, grew up in the swamps. Like if there's a pool of alligators, I'm not scared. I'm not gonna mess with the alligator. The alligator's cool. I'm cool. We're good. I'm not gonna like jump in the water with the alligator just to see if he's good. Yeah. You know, and that's not the same thing. Like I'm just like that with all animals. I'm a Florida guy, so it's like I've always been around reptiles and different stuff. Like whoa, don't step on that type stuff. But it's like I'm not gonna. My fear tells me do not jump in the water with the shark, right? So you say people come to you to like overcome that fear.
Right, so I love the segue. You had an amazing segue and you didn't even know it there.
Yeah.
I'm turning fear into fascination.
Okay.
Right. So that is the goal overall, is to turn that fear into fascination. And there's got to be a balance, because social media is so contradicting with how it takes what we do and puts too much fluff on it. Yep. The term sea puppies drives me nuts. Yeah. Sharks are the white blood cell of our ocean ecosystem, right? They clean up the dead, dying, diseased, and dumb animals. So when I hear them referred to as sea puppies, I'm climbing up a wall.
Yeah.
Turning fear into fascination is the main goal, and people fear what they don't understand.
100%.
So if I can drop any sort of knowledge about real shark behavior, then hopefully people are going to be able to cope with that, understand the animal better, and then the door's open. Everything else from there on.
And again, I'm not like I don't want to ruin an experience for somebody, but a shark, that's going on a shark tour with Ryan, but I show up, and my I'm gonna go full, tourist, floral print shirt, black socks. The Velcro sandals,
short shorts,
the Floridian camera on, one bucket hat, like full
cell phone in an Amazon waterproof
in a bag. Yes,
that's not allowed. I take that away when you get on the boat.
Full tourist. I'm going full tourist tiger. I'm showed up. I got the sunblock heavy on the nose, just right here,
just right there.
So I show up. I walk up. I'm like. So do you give them a little education before, or is it like, hey, hop in a boat, like we're gonna go out there, don't be too nervous, I got you, I've been doing this, check out my YouTube channel, like what is that? Take me through all right, tourist
ready?
tiger shows up at the dock. What does my day look like?
All right.
I book a tour, with Ryan, and I want to go out there and swim with sharks.
All right, so welcome to Shark Tours. My name's Ryan. This is Captain Aaron, and Christina here is going to be your safety diver. Today, we're going to head out to one of two spots. We're going to get out there, check out the conditions. I'm going full briefing for you right now, all right? So basically, we've got three main rules, all right? Number one, don't be dumb, stay out of the chum. That's rule number one.
Don't be dumb, stay out of the chum. There you go.
I tell people
life survival tip when swimming with sharks.
If this doesn't work out, I'm going to apply for Hallmark. So that's also part of the briefing. So we've got an orange float ball, clearly marked, out at the end, all right? I tell people clearly in my briefing, if you get to that orange float ball, you're going to hear cuss words coming from my mouth to your direction. Don't do it. That's where the shark food is. So a preventative of making sure that the sharks don't come up looking around for food near a human is not to let the humans be near the food. All right? So shark diving has three basic rules to make a foundation. One, stay out of the chum. Two, don't act like a dying animal. So one thing that will help everybody, whether it's on a shark dive or at the beach, you get approached by a shark, stay still. Don't rush back to the beach. Stay still.
Because they're trying to catch you.
there's a reaction. The dying animal is going to put off a vibration of splashing around and moving around.
So they can sense the fear and the vibration.
So they sense that, right?
I got you. Okay.
A lot of people ask me, do they sense fear? Not necessarily sensing the fear. They sense what we do when we're scared.
Okay. You can be you can be scared and still and be fine.
Yeah, just stay still. You can. I don't care if you poop your wetsuit and stay still.
I was gonna say, so the poop from my pants when I'm scared is I'm still good.
That's a whole nother story we can get to in a minute.
Wow, this got messy real quick.
But we can get real messy when that happens. But anyways, rule number 3: don't get complacent. They're still wild animals. They're not sea puppies, and that's why that term drives me nuts. You can get a little bit complacent around a dog after you've been around a little while. A shark is still a shark. GoPros. Your little, the Amazon bag with that your phone goes in. Those become targets because they're the size of a piece of bait. So all of that factors into the education of keeping people safe in the water. So
people forget how much jewelry.
If it's dangly, sure. Like I don't worry about earrings and stuff. But if you got like a chain hanging, that can stay on the boat. No, I mean those kind of things can stay.
It's looking like a lure.
So when it comes down to it, stay out of the chum. Don't act like chum. And don't be stupid. Really, don't be stupid. I tell people near the end of the briefing, if you have to think about whether it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, it's the wrong thing to do. In shark diving, don't do it. There's no I'm going to seesaw this. If it leans that way, it's over. Don't do it.
If it seems like a bad idea, don't do it.
So I mean, that's the basis of our briefing on the way out. Certain behavioral things change.
So why you listening to all this, right?
He's got the briefing.
Well, he already said he's good to die.
I'm a vet.
Let's go.
He's an avid diver.
I swam out of Fort Pierce on the U.S. Navy SEAL museum. I've swam right out of the reef. There's a reef right out there. I've lobstered.
He's like that.
But Ryan, I want to ask you, man.
I'm learning about Wydoe.
That's right. And I appreciate you joining us on this episode of Culture Convo. We got Ryan Walton in the building. Ryan, I want to ask, as someone that's been in the water, seen animals, but obviously you've spent so much more time with them, have you noticed that you're able to, or they are able to communicate with you at all? Are you able to read their signs? And do you ever find animals that you recognize or they recognize you?
So first part of that, so kind of two-part. So communication with each other, no. They have body language that they'll put off to each other. I've seen different things they do with their fins. Whales and dolphins more so than sharks. That's something I'm really fascinated with because of how they communicate through verbal.
That's right.
And then they also use signals and stuff like that. Sharks are all about instinct, right? So a lot of people don't realize that when a shark's born, they have zero guidance from mom and dad.
Gotcha.
Right? So mom has no idea who dad is. And we're going to get into a whole different movie plot here.
Right.
All right? So mom has no idea who dad really is. They meet up somewhere off the reef one day. Things happen.
Yep.
All right? She goes through her gestation period, which is different in all species of sharks, right? You've got everywhere from 9 months out to 21 months.
Okay.
Right? Her life is miserable for a minute. So 9 month to 21 month range, depending on the species of sharks that we're talking about. Mom goes off, does her gestation period. Then mom goes off and pups. Has those babies. Like marbles. They're on their own.
There's like a whole bunch. How many?
That's it. Depending on the species again. Okay. So lemon sharks I specialized in for years. They have between 7 and 12 pups.
Okay.
What's really special about lemon sharks is they come back to the same place they were born.
Wow.
Okay. Like a sea turtle.
Gotcha.
So mama lemon shark, specifically now, again, because people talk about sharks, there's 450 plus shark species in the world. I try to make it clear that we got to be specific when we talk about different species because there's so many. Lemon sharks specifically go back where they were born, have those pups, and get out of Dodge. Normally it's a mangrove estuary type environment. Those babies spend 6 to 8 years there together. That's why it's easy for me to work with lemon sharks. They grow up social. And I don't want to use a humanized term, but I'm trying to prove so they're used to presence because they grow up with each other, where so many other sharks are solitary. So big difference in how those animals behave around us based on how they grew up, which is really cool to me.
You do swim with mammals too, right? So through your experience and like the shark is your heart, you know what I mean? That's where your heart's at. And I know that's at. Like, are you finding yourself more inclined to do more mammal dives, killer whales, seals, stuff like that? Like that's kind of because now you've kind of opened up Pandora's box, because you can tell, and just by speaking to him, like just the factual knowledge that he knows, and numbers and species, like you can tell like that this is your life, this is your culture, like we talked about, culture Convo is what we're all about. Everybody has their own culture. I don't care what you do, whether you ride horses or take people on shark tours or hunt bears, like there's a culture to it, and that's what we're all about, is like unpacking that with people. So I think that's super cool. So following your passion that was on your heart, the bamboo shark in the tank, where it's taking you. So now it's like, is it a new love? Is it the same amount of love, or is it just like marine biologist? That's what the kind of vibe you give me. It's like, and it's not formally taught marine biologist. No. It's just like self-educated through practical experience and being in the field, right? And being around top scientists, people in their industry, that are giving you knowledge, you're partnering with. So how's the mammal experience been, that you talked about, the killer whales, the dolphins, because there is more of a communication and society to that, and they're very, very structured in how they do things, where they return, how they move. So it's like, well, how's that been for like the shark that's like, kind of like just the gypsy of the sea, so to speak, to some extent?
For me, I mean, the passion is still there with sharks, but like anything in life, you've been doing it so long, you want something new, and you're like, I want, it's like, okay. And that for me was the mammals. In 2018, I went to Rhode Island on a mako and blue shark trip, and the whole thing got skunked. That's a term I use for you ain't doing shit. You're out, all right? Yeah. So we got skunked for an entire week of diving, and I was like, I love mako and blue sharks, and makos are, for a lack of better terms, they're the great white's little cousin on crack, man. They are wiry little sharks. You got to have a camera in front of you. They're not for everyone. They're not lemon sharks, right? Yeah. So again, really got into that, but then I'm like, New England weather? Yeah. It was cool to go home to New England and shark dive, and I did it for a couple of years. That was really cool for me. But now I'm trying to take people up there to dive and depend on New England weather. We know how Florida weather is.
Yeah.
And so it didn't work out. A couple operators from Cabo hit me up like, hey, let's do this. I want you to come here. Bring a group. Cabo San Lucas, Mexico.
Okay.
So this became my second home.
Yeah.
So
what do you go out there?
There's a segue here. 3 times a year at this point.
I see it all the time. He's like, we're going to Cabo.
Back to
this
Cabo.
Guy is like all over the place.
When is he home?
I'm in a 2-month window of being home right now. And I've been home for a month, and it's driving me nuts. It's driving me up. I look today at my American Airlines points, like,
you're on go.
I want it but anyway, so Cabo's on the mind. I went, it was early 2019, because I just got skunked up in Rhode Island, and we pulled out by the arches, and I could still picture it, humpback whales everywhere, and I'm like, damn, we're a mile out, like, this place is magical, like, and what? So then we start going out a little further, and then I see like a mobula ray breach. A mobula ray is the smallest species of manta ray, which manta rays are cousins of sharks, so they're still in the family. And that breached, and I'm like, either it's trying to mate, but I don't see others, or something's trying to kill it. And next thing you know, this massive dorsal fin comes up, and we've got orcas. And I'm like, time out. Like, we haven't got to the makos and blues yet. And I'm like, this is nuts. The captain I was with.
Who is Debo? Tucky chain. I'm gonna keep my name.
The top of the food chain. And I'm like, and I got a mask, a snorkel, and a GoPro. And I'm like, Cat, let me in. He's like, no, too many boats. And I'm like, what? Like, for me, getting in, and it's just a part of the experience. If I'm not in the water, there's a void.
You feel like you're missing out.
For real. Like, I have to.
You need to be with his people, bro. It's like, I'm missing out. I need to see my people.
There was this experience I felt.
The real life Aquaman.
I felt like I missed it. And that left a hole in me for years. So when you ask about this transition to mammals, last year I rebranded from My Shark Life on YouTube to Wildlife with Ryan.
Okay.
That was
and
part of it.
You guys go follow that.
So that was Wildlife with Ryan.
Wildlife with Ryan on Instagram, on YouTube.
Both of them,
So dope content. Like, he's the guy.
That was part of it. So I had a hole. Like, a hole in me that I could feel for a year and a half. And then COVID happened. And I looked at COVID as the biggest door opening because everybody was afraid to travel. And I'm the ocean is ours. Like, nobody is going to be out there.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to see it all. So we went to a place called Magdalena Bay, 6 hours north of Cabo. Basically a desolate fishing village that you either go to fish or you go to dive.
That's it.
And we were filming striped marlin, dorado, sea lions, humpback whales, and the call came in over the radio, and I didn't know as much Spanish at the time, but I heard orca, and I perked up, and that hole got a little bigger for a second.
That's right.
And I looked at our local guide, who sometimes you call a fixer, so that way they can be your translator if you're not great at the local language, and where's your food, where's your everything. So our fixer, Jacob from Cabo Shark Dive, he's like, Ryan, we could get to these coordinates and they could be gone. And I looked at him and I was like, I don't care. I told everybody, if we get the call for orcas, that's once in a lifetime. Don't pass it up.
I'm en route.
Gotta go.
So we went the hour plus north and they were gone.
Oh.
And I was like, no way am I carrying. And I sat there on the bow, like half sulking, but half like, we're going to find them. About 20 minutes went by, and all of a sudden, just blow, and orcas just started popping up all around the boat. And I was like,
man.
let me in the water. And I learned about their hierarchy that day and how it's a matriarch society. So grandma passes down to mom passes down to her her firstborn, and then that firstborn will take care of a sibling to prove herself to mom. So there's all sorts of cool things going on with the matriarch society, with their hierarchy. So we jump in, and mom and grandma kind of come around and give a little bit of distance, and big sister brings the newest born member of this pod right up to us. And that's some of the craziest footage I have. And I got back on the boat, and the captain was like, you get it? And I just started crying, and there's footage of me trying to talk, and I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm I just swam with an orca. And, I'm freaking out. So I've actually got to swim with them again since then.
Those are the same ones, or is it?
No. So the pod I saw in Magdalena Bay in 2020 was the same pod that left the hole in 2019.
Okay.
But then the pod I saw in 21 was a different pod. So it was really
you can tell by how do you
the male.
The
male was a well-known male there that they've kept track of, the scientists locally off of Baja California Sur, because there's several pods now. And those pods will come together to feed.
And they track them by how? How do they know?
Markings. Markings, distinctive markings. I have distinctive markings on sharks that I'm familiar with. They're way better at telling their animals because they see them so much more often. But several locals confirmed that the male that was with the pod, was Moctezuma. And he's a very well-known bull orca that runs the coast of Baja. So I've been fortunate enough to see him with his pod twice and then another pod once. The orca obsession leads me to Norway this December for the Atlantic orcas.
So they're coming up 2024? That's where we're going?
This December, I got me and 9 other dudes booked a guy's trip, and we're going up to the Arctic Circle in 48-degree water.
Sounds cold.
So cold. I'm going to do the new ice bath trend. I'm gonna hop on it for this just to prep.
Just hop in.
So I'm hopping on the ice bath trend for to prep for Norway. But so we get to film Aurora Borealis, which is the Northern Lights. And then the orcas are there feeding on bait balls, and there's also humpback whales, fin whales, sperm whales, and minke whales. So I know I'm missing one. So 5 cetacean species. Whales and dolphins are cetaceans. So there's 5 cetacean species up there feeding on these bait balls. And we're going to jump in this frigid water and hope our cameras don't freeze. We have them. I've seen 2. I'm going to just as big as me not eating seafood. I'm going to drop another bomb on you. I've seen 2 great whites. I've never seen one in the water over my entire career. They want nothing to do with us. they literally avoid us, especially when they're here in Florida. We believe most of these are ones coming down from the Cape. They feed on seals up there. So they're coming down, whether it's a gestation period, I don't know, because they're seeing males now. Are they mating down here in warmer water? I mean,
snowbirds, they come down.
And we know we do. You go on a honeymoon, you go down to the island.
You go down to Florida, make some babies. And
you're mating too. So
there we go. It's all it's just normal.
There's still several theories because a lot of people are just getting into the whole fact that white sharks are down here off Florida's coast.
Yeah.
We've seen two. I had about a 16, 17 footer 15 miles out. I was at a spot that people fish for swordfish. I was chumming to research and see if we could get makos. We had a 16, 17 foot female great white, almost hit the boat, rolled on her side, looked at us, disappeared. I jumped in, tried to film her. She was gone.
They're gone.
So
they're out of there.
They're so evasive. That's my latest void.
And this
is the great white.
So here's like the question, right? Is like so for me, like my mind, right? Like my wheels are turning right. Is it that great white sharks have always traveled down the coast of Florida and because technology and advancements and
social
all this
media
stuff, and now like oh my gosh, they're here now, but maybe they've always been here and we just didn't have the resources to figure it out. Like, so it's like I that's a theory.
I think they've always been here, and now it's just a matter of why. We have
more
the
population.
research.
People are seeing them. Like again,
O-Search is stationed off Jacksonville for most of the year lately. I mean, that's a big point right there. And a lot of them come all the way around and go into the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
So they're traveling a long, long way. I think it's been an annual migration forever. It's part of their route. We're just becoming more familiar. O-Search and all the satellite tags, because every time their dorsal breaks the surface with a sat tag, now you're getting that data. It's within a mile or so. There's a buffer, but
it's
now you can see, so all that stuff now has become so much more accurate, so much more consistent. That's probably the right word, the consistency now. And then the social media, the knowledge spreading, I bet you people knew well before I knew. There was people doing it, but social media wasn't putting it out there.
So what man-made issues or problems in the ocean with sharks, with animals, have you noticed firsthand so far?
Overfishing leads to depredation, leads to conflict, human-animal conflict based on human error all along, right? So fishing, I mean, we've got seafood out in front of us. Huge part of our culture. Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, these markets thrive on fishing. It's a competitive market. And it's one where I tread carefully because when I've asked certain fishermen, what do you do if you are told you can't fish this anymore? And their answer is, I moved to fishing something else. But is that the right answer? Because now something has declined so much that now you're moving on to fishing something else. Sharks are now responding faster. Never mind overfishing of sharks. We're creating human-animal conflict where fishermen are frustrated with sharks more than ever. Because sharks are reacting faster to fishermen catching a fish because there's less fish in the ocean.
They've had to adapt.
So now this whole process is becoming a human-animal conflict that all stems from overfishing. So do I feel for fishermen that rely on making a living? Kinda. There's empathy there for every man needs to put food on the table for their family. But at whose hand and whose fault did we get to this point? Exactly. And then there's the concept of the United States government using NOAA and HMS, the government agencies, to basically regulate how much shark can be killed by weighing it in tonnage. They've just started accepting surveys from people conducting them of live shark surveys, meaning an eco tour who presents data of what sharks they've visually seen swimming around, when it's always been, we killed X amount of sharks, there must be X amount left. How did they come up with that equation to now where we're backpedaling? Previously I mentioned sharks like the dusky shark that have a 21-month gestation period. Just to reach sexual maturity takes years. And now a 21-month gestation period, who's to say it lives through that gestation period with the gauntlet it has to survive offshore? The biggest issue in our oceans is overfishing. all of it.
Now, in that, like, is and you're worldly traveled, right? You've been around different coasts and in different areas. Like, do you see a growth in like farm raised in the ocean fish? Is that like I feel like that's been a thing. Like as of probably, the 2000s, where they consider them wild, but they're raised in basically
sea
ocean
pens.
tanks.
They're sea pens. So I've seen a couple here in the U.S. I'm not totally sure of where the big sea pens would be. Like, and they're obviously big companies that are doing that. In Mexico, Baja, Cabo, and La Paz, and the Cia Cortez side, we go past sea farms every time we go out. So even inside there, they do have sea pens for, I don't know who's doing it, but the Mexican locals or government, they've got it going. On the other side, off by Magdalena Bay, that's major fishing communities, there's still a shark fishing camp on an island. We got in the water there once to document some of the carcasses that they toss back to show how unsustainable it is. And a lot of those fins are being shipped overseas to China anyways. So we got in. They actually launched their boats and tried to run us over. And we had to get on our boat and leave. So I've been in threatening situations like that too when trying to document just what it is. I wasn't really going to bash them. It was just like, hey, this is.
So do you feel like the overfishing topic is I guess an American issue, or more of like a worldly international?
It's global. It's global, for sure.
Okay,
it's global. I mean, it's overlooked here. So
I mean, but do you feel like there's more regulation on it, or a little more under control, or is it just like in other countries, it's kind of like the Wild West? Like just do what you want.
We have better regulation than some places we've gone. The Bahamas, I look up to how the Bahamas takes care. It is illegal to fish for sharks in the Bahamas. It is illegal to fish for sharks in the Bahamas. You are allowed to fish for sharks in the United States of America. I could say that 10 times over, and it doesn't settle with me. Why we're so behind. We're still relying on the killing of an apex predator that we need in our ocean for quick money. It's not sustainable. We know it's not sustainable, but they still do it because it's quick money.
I was grateful for like a science teacher when Jaws came out. All the kids were like, why don't they just kill all the sharks, just get rid of them? But then you don't understand how it's all revolving in this ecosystem. They do this. They have a job. If you take them out, they thrive. It's, you know what I mean? It's like
recent scientific studies have shown on a system called the BRUVS. It's a baited remote underwater vehicle system. You put a BRUVS down. It's got a camera mounted, a GoPro, and you've got a piece of bait out at the end. You leave it for an hour running. You just let it sit there so there's no human impact. There's some chum, get stuff to come around, but there's chum in the ocean anyways when something dies. If a fish dies, what is it? Chum. It's chum. I mean, so chum is a natural thing.
Rotting in the ocean.
You asked earlier, and a lot of people think of chum in a negative way. Fisherman chum. Fisherman chum, when an animal dies, it becomes chum. Chumming is a natural thing that creates a natural instinct from scavenging animals, right?
It's its own ecosystem itself, because you got a little fish eat off it. And
it is. So the studies have shown more recently that with these BRUVS units, that with areas with more sharks, there are more fish. Less sharks, less fish, dead coral. The whole ecosystem works together. So if there's more sharks on that reef, there's more of what you want to eat on that reef too. There's more snapper and grouper and the sustainable reef fish on there. Just here in Florida in the last couple of years, they've actually decreased the mahi count from 10 to 5 that you're allowed to keep. The most sustainable fish in Florida waters, they finally cut back because the population got so low. We're doing it. We have regulations, but it's so often that we stop when there's irreversible damage. You're like, all right, that's enough, but you're on a 40-year recovery period.
Yeah, definitely.
My son's gonna look back and be like, wait, what? My dad didn't have this then? No, we didn't, because we screwed it all up, and it took that long for it to get back to what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, 100%.
Oftentimes fishermen say to me, there's twice as many sharks as there ever were in the ocean. And I'm like, sharks were down 90% as of 10 years ago. So if you're telling me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you had 10% of sharks left, and we now have double that number, we still have 80% less sharks than you need in the ocean.
That's right. Still got a way to go.
It's easy math. You tell me shark populations have doubled in their career. I hear it all the time from fishermen. Shark populations have doubled in my career. Well, congratulations. We got 80% to go.
Still got a long way.
Long way to go. It's irreversible damage in so many species.
Ryan, one of the last questions I want to ask you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on the show with us.
Educating us. There's been like, my brain is like,
I'm telling you.
There's so much to know.
I'm ready to save a shark right now. Like, I'm going to adopt the Shark Foundation or something.
Let's
you know
go.
what I mean?
I love to use my platform, my podcast show, Culture Convo, to kind of show culture, show real people their jobs, what they do, their passions, but I also like to see the reality of it. Because a lot of people might want to be just like you, Ryan, want to be a guy, YouTuber, shark guy. Can you describe a great day as Ryan Walton and a bad day?
Whew, yeah. Which one should I start with?
He told you the bad day. He couldn't catch the orcas. Like, that was a bad day.
That was a
rough day. It was a rough day emotionally for him.
That's a bad day. I mean,
in your job, because at the end of the day, what you do is a job. So what's a hard day, and you're like, all right, this isn't the guts and glamour, because it's not all just swim with the shark.
I'll give you a couple. I'll start with the bad. I mean, the first one, that's not bad in terms of like, I can't sleep at night, is if we don't get sharks on a dive.
Yeah.
Because I have customers still. I have guests, and they see the social media stuff again. Here we go.
Team frenzy.
Yeah. So there's days where September, October for me is hard because it's hurricane season, and there's sharks have a lateral line. Here we go. More science. They have a lateral line. It senses pressure change.
Yeah, the barometric pressure. Yeah.
So before Channel 3 tells you there's a hurricane coming, the sharks already knew.
Wow.
So now I go out there chumming, and my captain's like, hey, there's a hurricane coming in 3 weeks. And I'm like, damn, that's why we can't get any sharks. They've moved deeper to get out of harm's way because they already sensed it coming before meteorologist Joe Schmo told us that we had to board up our houses.
Okay.
So that can be a bad day for me. If a fisherman kills a shark on site, it puts off an enzyme that tells the other sharks to get the hell out of there.
That's right.
That can give me a bad day. Because now you don't matter how much chum I put in the water. Instinct took over. And they got over. I can't change the behavior of a wild animal. That's one thing. They're not bears. They're not alligators. People say in my Instagram comments, you're changing behavior. Would you feed the bears? I would not. That's a mammal.
Different thing,
It's a mammal. Would I feed an alligator? Nope. That's a reptile. Sharks are fish. We need to separate animals. We're going to have that conversation.
But that goes from your education and talking with scientists and like properly equipping the keyboard terrorist, right? That's in your Instagram comment trying to tell you about your passion, because you can hear the passion when he talks about it and his education. So he's able to answer those questions tactfully and properly equip these people with the correct answers.
Absolutely.
Like you're wrong, and this is why you are wrong. And like, have a great day.
I get called a dick so many times just for trying to say it like that too. And like I said, they're not thinking about it. So here's one more. The pressure. The pressure some days of, is my crew promoting as much as me? And I can't ever expect it. For you, doing your entrepreneurial stuff, it comes off your passion. You can never expect somebody who works for you to bring that same energy, but you still expect a certain level of it. And then when those days you say maybe there's a repair bill, and you see the effort you're putting in, but it's not coming out equally. You feel it. You feel it. You're like, yo, that's on me. Help.
So they're like, sorry, I broke the prop off. You're like, what?
So that's I was gonna say, you want a real one? You want the number 3? Sunday afternoon. I got up from the dive. We had sharks. I had a photo package. I make an extra commission when I have a photo package. It's a good day for me until my safety diver looked at me and said, we need to go. And I didn't see anything happen, and I've never had an emergency with a guest. I'm gonna look at the camera. I've never had an emergency with a guest. And I thought medical emergency. The one medical emergency we've had was a heat exhaustion case. Called the dive, rushed in, ambulance met at the dock. Still a good day. Nobody was hurt, right? So I went up to my captain and I'm like, what's going on? Because I looked at all the guests. Nobody's passed out. Nobody's bleeding. I'm assessing my scene as a first responder now. And they said, look down below. And there was water seeping through the floor.
Oh, well, here we go.
And I'm 10 miles from the inlet. And now Army skills kick in. And I'm like, here's what we're going to do. And it's just, there's a switch. Get the bow up. We're at 4,800, 5,000 RPMs the whole way. It's not enough to make us capsize. We just can't take any more. What happened to the bilge? So, as a business owner, now I'm carrying the weight that I knew my emergency bilge died recently. Tomorrow, literally tomorrow, as of now filming, tomorrow, I scheduled to replace the emergency bilge.
Wow.
This happened Sunday. What was I supposed to, how was I supposed to know? Those are the pressures of having six other people that I'm responsible for, my captain, and my other crew member, that they're on me. And me not just doing it right away, scheduling the emergency bilge, but it's an emergency bilge. You don't need your emergency bilge till it's a freaking emergency. We had a damn emergency. What happened was, we have a bathroom on our boat that you're not allowed to use. Just want to make that clear. We had a bathroom. Somebody did use it, and they opened the flush valve, and when it closed, something closed in the flush valve that allowed water to keep coming in. I would have never known that until the bilges stopped working. It takes compounding things in my industry for something to go horribly wrong, and we were that close, and without the perfect crew and the perfect response and everything we did, we could have had a really bad we could have not been doing this interview right now. I could have been doing other things. So that's why I've been painting the boat and everything I did this week, and I brought that up, and why I've been at the boat until 8 p.m. and everything I did. I did all the plumbing myself. I did all the wiring. I have emergency bilge. I have the stern bilge hardwired. If the boat's on, the bilge is on. I bought a handheld bilge. We stripped the bottom. We repainted the bottom.
For everybody.
We pretty much have a new boat. So as a business owner, as a human being, when something like that happens, it's the biggest oh shit moment you can think of. And now I'm literally this week, what can I do to make sure this never happens again?
But that's the experience of business. You know, we all go through that. We're like, definitely dropped the ball on that one. Not going to let that happen again. Nothing bad, you know. Again,
some you carry more than others. Could have
been worse, but you know, we made it back. We're here. You know, we're not. You know, and you're not. You know, he didn't just get off the Coast Guard rescue plane, so we're good with that.
I'll feel a lot.
So what are? Let's hear about the
positives.
The positives.
The positives. If any of those don't happen. That's we'll start there.
If the bilge works, man, we're on and up. We're on and have a good day.
You know, it's so hard for me. A famous diver that my wife actually interviewed 13 years ago. He had the best answer ever that stuck with me. And it was asked kind of like you asked me, but the question was rephrased a little. What's the best dive you could ever think of? And his answer was, I don't know, it hasn't happened yet.
It's coming next.
It's the next one, you know, it's the next one. I hated the Patriots during their reign, but what did Tom Brady always say? What's your favorite ring? The next one. And that hit me so hard, and it took me until very recently to really stop and enjoy the journey. I've always been about the destination, and that is probably what's held me back the most, is not taking the time to enjoy these conversations. And like having you look up my past and like reminiscing and going through my head like, damn, you figured that out. Like, it's really cool for me to not only have Google. The recognition.
Professional host over here.
It feels good. It feels good to look back on all that after all these years and all the ups and downs and parts of the journey that I did. I didn't miss them, but you know, I was there. But like, I wasn't all there, and that's something that I don't regret. But now moving forward, I've put, like I said to you sometimes, a B-roll. All right, too windy, I'll put it down. What's here?
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about the moment or I am worried about the moment. I'm not worried about the content. You know, in my mind, it's like, you know, we're here. We're now, enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll worry about whatever vibrated on my phone later.
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I got, Clyde, and you can ask any other final questions.
Yeah. I mean, bro, like I said, it's been amazing just to sit here and talk to you and listen and like get to know someone that I've seen, and we, you know, he keeps pointing. His wife's over here with his son. They're always they're always together. The trifecta, you know, and I appreciate that as a family man myself. Father, you know, a father of many, and you know, many children, and I appreciate that, and I love that they do the diving together, they do the traveling together, so that's really cool for me. So it's just great to know. But what else you got, Wydoe? Like where you at?
Ryan, I really want to know two. One, have you ever been bit before? And the last one, is there any footage that has been lost at sea? Whether you forgot to hit record,
lost file. Oh yeah.
Anything lost at sea that we didn't get to see?
He waited on the end of the bite conversation.
Did he get bit?
Anybody who has dead fish in their hand is going to get bit eventually. I've got a pretty little hole in my arm right here. Lemon shark got right here on the crate. 10 years ago, plus longer now, I made a rookie move. I put my arm on the crate. Shark bit the damn crate. Top jaw landed on my arm. I looked down.
I made a rookie move.
And I looked down and I was like, oh, what did I just do?
But just like you talked about with the emergency build, he's not going to put his elbow on the crate anymore, right?
Again. So there's footage out there of me riding that thing like Miley Cyrus in the Wrecking Ball video, but there's not sharks close, right? So there's always a time and a place. I've been bit at least 5 times. I might be.
Well, I take that back. He didn't learn from the first incident.
One of them was a cross feed.
Let's see, you got them all?
I do. I've got some gnarly scars. One was a little lemon shark. She had just shown up out there. Again, instincts all over the bait, and a guest got the video, and this video was one of those lost at sea. She's filming the shark, and I narrated. I'm like, oh, she's spicy. Ooh, she's coming higher out of the water. Ooh, I gotta be careful. And next thing you know, this shark comes right, and like she got the fish and landed on my thumb, and I just went, I'm hit. Get the first aid kit. And everybody's like, seriously? And I'm like, I don't know yet. The most recent one, I had a customer who was a photographer, videographer, and I don't set up bite shots. So you've seen the open mouth shots on my stuff. I don't set those up unless you got a big camera, because they could keep going for a GoPro. If you got a big camera, they bounce off it and it's over. I went to set somebody up cross body, and I had my camera in my hand, and the shark missed the bait, bit the handle, and well, my hand was on the handle. So my glove took most of that, but Koa was on the boat for that one. So that was my first time I got bit with him around, and I got on the boat, and I was like, get the first aid kit. My captain's like, what happened? And I was like, just get the first aid kit. But I didn't want to make a big deal, like, because I don't want my guests to know. For me,
just got bit by a shark.
It's not gonna happen.
You're a carpenter and you get hit with a hammer, whatever.
But it's not gonna happen to you if you're not near the bait. So I didn't want that false perception that Jaws created to re-enter their mind, because I'm the one dicking around with dead fish, and he's on the boat and he's about to get in the water, and I'm like, I'm good, just first aid kit. And I took my glove off, and it was like paper cut worthy. I'm like, Band-Aid, glove, come on, Koa, we're going swimming. So for me, and he's got 17 species of sharks he's swam with before he's 9 years old.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
He understands them the way I want people to. So when a child advocates the way that I do, sometimes it's heard better than me because I sound like a salesman. I own a shark diving company. But when an 8.5-year-old is like, no, this is what I've done, it helps as well. So I didn't want that moment to taint everything he'd learned every day of me coming home from work. And he couldn't travel with me till he was 5. What you just said about them getting to do it, that was the hardest part until 3.5 years ago, was leaving them for 8 days at a time at an expedition and not getting to speak to them because I'm on Mexican cell service. You know, like, so now that is the greatest part, is sharing the experiences with them. They got to pet a whale a month and a half ago. Swam right up to the boat and pet a whale. Like, so for me, the family experiences and all of that, that's huge. I don't want to taint that by me and my job. What do you, occupational hazard, right? A chef's going to get burned. A fireman's going to get burned. A landscaper's going to get cut. You know, I mean, all these things are going to happen if that's your job. Mine, I'm working with beautiful wild animals with razor sharp teeth.
Yeah,
there is an occupational hazard when I'm feeding, but you know they don't want to eat you. Sharks don't eat people. That's what I would close for me.
Yeah,
sharks feed on dead, dying, diseased, and dumb animals. If you want to call me dumb feeding them, then that's where I place myself. But that's their job, is to keep the ocean clean of those animals so we can have a sustainable ocean.
Yeah. Ryan, we know what you're doing. Check him out, Wildlife with Ryan on YouTube to see what he's doing, how he's doing it. But Ryan, who do you do it for?
For my family. Yeah, I'm still in it for them. I mean, it's a job. I do it for myself. I'd be lying if it is my therapy. That's my hour and a half every time I hit the water that it's sharks, and then I can go back to real life. But the push, the drive, the long hours, the early wake-ups, the YouTube channel, all of it together, they're the why.
Yeah. Just in closing, too, is just like, I commend you. I thank you for your time. It's so awesome to get to know you on a different level, and just your vast knowledge of the industry and your culture. I think it's super cool, kind of what you alluded to with your son, because like spending that time with our kids, right? Well, no matter what you're doing, like it's influential because a young man from Connecticut who had some adversity in life, changed up his path. Now he's changing your generational path for his son, because his son, like, this is all he's gonna know is the ocean and sharks, and who knows, he could be the next Jacques Cousteau. You don't know where this is gonna take. So this is the culture of what we do, and the what I love most about the growth and the evolution of us as humans, if you just stay moving like the shark, right? The shark's got to stay moving, right?
That's more research.
So we keep moving, we keep growing, and like our kids and the people around us, we have the chance to impact their lives and change their lives forever. And that's what you're doing. And first and foremost, like that is the definition of fatherhood at its entirety. Like, so I commend you for that, you and your wife, and all that you do, and the amazing people you are. And I thank you for coming up here.
Thank you so much.
You're busy day to day, and we're thankful we caught him on that little 2-month break. We caught it. God's working like that for me, and I'm thankful for that. One last question I got. Who do you know that you think that we should have on Culture Convo next?
Jerome Baker.
Your friend. Oh, Jerome, huh?
Jerome.
Okay.
Or Walt. Walt's a good talk.
Okay.
The two of them. Walt Aikens or Jerome Baker?
Walt Aikens.
I'm calling them out.
Ryan said we need to have you on Culture Convo.
Line it up.
We got it. We got it here. We're coming for you. We come remote. We'll come to where you're at. Have cameras and mics. We'll travel.
That's right.
We appreciate that. Thank you for your
Rome's
time.
in Seattle though. He might have to meet you in the middle.
We can bundle up, baby. 12 man up there.
We'll bundle up, pack up those frequent flyer miles.
Let's go.
We might stop and see some killer whales along the way.
I'll meet you out. You know what? I'll come with you. I told him I'd come visit. So if you guys go, I might have to follow.
Okay.
Hey, well, thank you so much.
Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep doing your thing.
Appreciate you guys.
Wildlife for Ryan. Go check it out, man. Ryan Walton, the man, the myth, the legend.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you. For sure.
We got more of this great stuff coming.
And shout out to Chuck Seafood for hosting us.
Yeah,
Great food right here downtown Fort Pierce. Beautiful, legendary, historic venue. It's your boy Wydoe, Big Tiger.
The man,
the myth, the
major
legend.
Major love from the Culture Convo.
Appreciate
y'all
you guys.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, baby. On the rise. Till next time.
We out.
Girl, play with me.